Welcome him, whoever it is.
Hello, do we have somebody on the line?
It's not a podcast.
So,
Well, for whoever might be out there, I see somebody on the screen. This is the Board of Health meeting. And we are currently in discussion. So hopefully you can hear, and feel free to raise your hand if you wish to join in. I will turn it over to our chairman, Mr. Andrew Fisk.
So there is, my understanding that there is two sections of the reverse 911, the code red. One is for emergency situations. One is for safety,
Right.
like the trash or the town meeting or whatever. So I want to keep using it because I've gotten more positive than negative about it, okay? Nick wanted us to do a recording because Missy always did the recording. I don't take stage. I get stage fright. So this past time, I guess it was right down to the minute and they didn't have anybody to do it. Is there a robo voice or something that we could
Oh,
use?
to do the recording part of
If
it?
it was typed in when the robo voice
Yeah,
would
there
read it?
actually is, but
Perfect.
yeah, so I've had to do this for
Yeah.
snowstorms or whatever. Like, people don't like to do the recording
Yeah.
for some reason. But
Yeah, that's me.
I just honestly, I send whatever the text is to Nick and Dave, and then they take care of it. And so they're.
You get preferential treatment.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't mind. I also offer. I don't care. Like, what's the big deal? It's fine, right? But
I did the last one.
Yeah.
But, and again, I don't mind doing them, but I would imagine whoever fills into the position would probably,
Oh, yeah. I meant just for now.
yeah, hopefully we don't have another stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that the issue is we do have permission to use it,
Yes.
and the chief is on board or not on board?
he's fine.
He's
Okay.
okay with, Nick
Yeah,
said,
no, I mean, that is his,
Yeah, but
Thing, and-
overusing it does, they get a lot of grief if you overuse it, right? And they want to keep it for emergencies, and we get that. And we're using it kind of as a gray area for communicating. But
yeah,
it's not as if we're sending them out once a month. You know,
right.
when we did it for mosquito spraying, and we've done it for town meetings, but like,
I
other
think
than
it's
that,
important stuff.
yes.
well, and it is optional.
Yeah.
People do not have to subscribe to it if they don't want to.
I'm testing the link, just so you know, to make sure it works.
And just to reach out, do we have someone on the call? Roger?
Is he
Okay,
muted?
just, no, the reason I was asking again is I realized the speaker on the laptop was muted and I just unmuted it. So my apologies if anyone's out there listening. You caught the middle of that conversation. We were discussing the use of the reverse 911 for trash
I'm gonna check
notifications.
that.
Yep, it's working.
Working great.
So yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Keep going. If you get any grief, just send me an email.
Yeah, I did take
Sick you on him. He'll take care of it.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't really mind. He probably just was like, that seems like a weird reason. I don't just.
Yeah, I
who
did
knows?
take an email from Elaine Bocce Snow, and I responded to her. She brought up a bit of information that she would like to see added. Now, if I understood her email correctly, this might only be when we're already using code red because of bad weather. Or somehow she would like people to be aware of rain and snow and how it can affect the,
Common sense stuff, you mean?
right. I thanked her,
Mhm.
and
Excellent.
what I'm thinking of is maybe that's something that we incorporate in some literature when we send out the trash bill. Just a reminder, beware of bad weather, high winds, etc.
Flying
Sure.
projectiles.
Yeah, she was concerned that, I guess the last time it was windy and everyone's plastic was everywhere. So I appreciate her concern for trying to keep the recycling
In the
of
recycle
good
bin.
quality.
Yeah.
Well, you need to have a good quality too. I mean, wet cardboard doesn't
Yeah,
exist
right,
anywhere.
right,
It's
right.
trash.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm not sure if trying to put that on every code red that we send out is going to be effective,
So that
because
actually,
we have weather when we don't cancel the trash.
that's a good point. Like, I didn't know that if the cardboard gets wet, they're just gonna
Junk.
chuck it in the trash. So I should hold it for the next week if it's gonna rain.
That's what I do.
I did not know that.
To make
That's-
it valuable, well,
Yeah.
to have any value to the
There is no
vendor,
value anymore.
there's no value to us.
It's now a
anymore.
cost.
Now a cost,
It's now a
true.
cost.
In theory, it should be costing us more than, right, if it's heavier.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
right. It would add to the tonnage.
So it might be
Yes.
worth our time to
absolutely
send
it
out
is.
an email, maybe just a
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
We'll send it out,
It's
something.
what's coming, just a little sidestep. What's coming, we just approved the extension for one more year with E.L. Harvey. And when it comes back for the, either an extension or renewal, we'll have to put out to bid, I'm assuming. The recycling will be going away as we know it. If you're not a subscriber, you can, like myself, I have a dumpster, so I don't subscribe to the trash program, but I use the recycling. That'll go away. I won't be able to use it
Oh, that's gonna
because
change.
there's going to be a cost associated with recycling. That's just the way of the world nowadays, what's changing.
Can you?
If they have the service or if they don't.
Someone new?
No, I will,
No, you
got a little blip, that said, "First, hold on, looks like something's wrong," and then it went away.
Sometimes we have a network glitch. I'll tell you that.
Okay. It couldn't be.
So if we're talking about all these emails, right? So we're going through them, we're covering them, right? We're all on them, right? So I'm answering the ones that I can basically answer, which some of them I have no idea about, okay? So but I can send documents and I can be responsive and I can listen to the messages and then basically tell you, like, I'm getting the messages sent right to me, like all the phone messages.
Yeah.
So I can listen to them and basically see what the request is and then I'm responding right away
Delegate
if I
which way it's
can.
gotta go.
Or send it to one of you guys, because I have no idea what that, I have no idea what a D-box, whatever the hell that, sorry, whatever that was today. I don't know, but I mean, I want to also make sure that I wasn't CCing you guys in the beginning before I went for vacation. I got everything that was that in that time period.
Okay.
I tried to make sure that I didn't miss anything that came in before last Monday. So I'll just I'll double back and check if there's anything that actually bounced back or whatever to be sure.
And that was the question, because without the CC, we
Exactly.
don't know if it's actually
but
been
you-
addressed.
Exactly. And so when because when you guys weren't first on it, I was just doing it.
Right.
And so I
But
was
we
like,
had-
just making, and I was making sure I got them all done before I went away for the week. And so I
Yep.
did them all. And then when I came back, we were all CC'd on them. And I thought, oh, they have no idea if they go back and scroll that any of these have been done.
Right.
So just so you know, I did
So,
before that date.
so anything that came through is what I'll call the message center voicemail type
Yes.
of, we don't have to worry about going back on any of those.
Yeah, no, I'm checking all those voicemails as they're coming in. I'm trying to figure out what it actually is, and then I'm forwarding it somewhere. Some of them, it's obvious. Like, and getting these documents at home or wherever is amazing. Like sending these septic plans, so it's so easy to do. I just wonder if there's a whole nother section of documents, like the well stuff that came in about the well testing.
So,
So is that okay?
sorry. So, yeah, so him and I are going to meet here tomorrow
Okay.
and go through. So Missy had 2 places she was saving stuff. So we have, and I think she was in the process of moving everything to the server. So we're going to go over that tomorrow and get everything on the server that's out there, all the approved stuff, all of any applications that are there, so that it's in the Board of Health server folder that you guys all have access to as well.
That's tomorrow.
We're going to do that tomorrow.
What time?
10:30?
You'll probably miss Richardson coming in. I got a call today. They have 4 wells they're gonna drill at Sylvan Springs.
Oh.
And they're going to be bringing the applications with checks tomorrow morning.
Mhm.
And they're gonna be dropping them off. And my question was, where does, I know what to do with the checks. These guys know what to do. Where does the application go?
So we can scan it and put it in the actual address for it. We'll find out where that is and we'll put them where they belong.
Okay.
Yeah, typically what Missy's been doing is once something comes through for an address, she creates a folder for it,
Mhm.
for the address, and then puts everything that comes in for that address under the address.
Mhm.
Then, once it's done, it seems like she moves it then to the next level, which is going into the T drive.
Sure.
But I think the initial list, might be on the C drive.
And what we
But
can,
about the check.
We'll figure that. Well,
Yeah.
it is, I think it's also in her, like my documents, which is also
Oh,
backed up
right.
to the server. So it's not backed up. It's just in a place that only Missy would be able to get to.
Right.
So we'll just clear that up. And then those well applications also need to be updated into Viewpoint if they haven't already been
Right.
applied for.
No, it's brand
via
new tomorrow. Brand new tomorrow, they're coming in.
No, that's what I'm saying. So if they didn't put them in Viewpoint already, they'll need to be uploaded into Viewpoint.
Yeah,
If the applicant didn't already put it in.
that's what I'm saying. They didn't.
Okay,
They're physically coming in with applications.
we'll work through that process too.
Now, we talked about the message center emails that come through, the voicemail ones.
Yeah.
Now, what about the ones that come through, what I'll call direct email inquiries that come through from people?
So we're all getting them, right? And
Right.
you're all getting the messages too.
Right.
You're seeing those recordings,
Yeah.
right? I'm just listening to them and trying to figure out what they are. A lot of times they are like this lady with the rain recycling, whatever.
Yeah.
That's for one of you guys, really, right? You should be speaking.
Yeah, I
can answer
responded
it, but
to a bunch of them,
yeah,
and you should be able to see the
exactly,
thread,
and that's exactly the
because
kind of,
Tom was helping me with
Right.
that, so that I might, when I respond, you guys might not get the fact that I responded, but if you
no, it's
go,
perfect. It's a
Yeah.
lot of emails, but let's just keep seeing each other so that nothing gets.
So if you
lost.
reply all,
Yeah.
you'll.
I'm trying, but
Yeah.
in some places I can't find the reply all button for some
Yeah,
crazy reason.
But those responses is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I want it to come from your voice if it's Board of Health rather than my voice, right? And so I'll keep an eye out on all of it to make sure we're not missing anybody.
Yeah.
Or I'll send it to wherever you are. If I feel like it's a little more complicated, it's out of my wheelhouse. I will. I'm learning a lot, but
Okay.
And
Well-
then, oh, sorry.
I wouldn't even mind if you wanted to text me,
Okay,
because for the next few weeks, I'm still kind of around.
okay.
So if you wanted to, and I've mastered texting, you know, this thing here, I just found out that my daughter informed me that you can no longer update it,
What is that?
It's an old iPad.
you know?
This is a wallet.
So like,
Take a
I
look.
can't play the recordings.
Oh,
Oh,
Because it's too old.
he needs a
Yeah,
laptop.
and when I go to the things that come through on the T drive
Okay.
that John has been moving.
Yeah.
I can't preview them. I can't read them. Everything else I can see, but I'm like,
I had a question too. Well, we're kind of all over the place. Sorry, but I had a question too about response time. So, like, typically when I'm getting an email, I'm sending it right out. And some of these things are these people expecting us to respond like right away, or is it a day is okay while we find the answer? Like, what is the
Depends on the severity of the situation.
right? If
If it was an emergency, you'd know it and know which one it was. But for the most part, general questions,
it's okay. All right.
when we,
Well, because
they'll be happy with a response within a week.
okay. Fine.
You know, seriously.
Well, I didn't want anybody to be left hanging. And
no,
I,
that's
you
what
know,
I tried to do. Even if I
Yes.
couldn't give them an answer, I tried to let them know that I
They
knew
weren't being
about it,
ignored.
yeah.
and that I actually let one person know that wants to buy 1 Myrtle Street and is looking for an as-built and some well information, that we were going to be in the office tonight, and
Okay.
after the meeting, we were going to do some administrative things.
Yeah.
So I have a list of all these little things that probably will only take 5 or 10 minutes to
Yeah.
complete, because they're relatively simple questions, but we have to do them from here.
Right.
Or at least I have to.
He
do 'em from
he has
here.
to do it from here.
Yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
people have been getting responses of some kind, even if it's, I can't answer that question right now, but I've received the request.
And I'll find you an answer.
Right, and we're in process. Like
Yeah.
there was one engineer that wanted information on some addresses on Uxbridge Road.
Mhm.
And Tom and I started to look when we were in here, but I didn't realize that if the address doesn't show up in septic plans, it's because we have no information on it.
Right. That's
And that
That's
one
what's
came
happening to
through
me.
the,
Yeah.
that one came through the town clerk.
okay.
And there was a time frame that you have to respond to it because it's a request for public records.
Okay.
So he was fine with my response that we were going to gather the information and get it to him. So now we have some time to act on it,
Okay.
and we're not going to be in violation.
Right. I mean, I think we've got it. I mean, what I keep saying, it seems to me, based on, 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks or so of monitoring this, there's constant work, but it's not overwhelming the amount of work. So like it's coming in.
I'm overwhelmed.
Well, put it this way, if it's not constantly monitored, it could become overwhelming.
Right.
Yeah, so, but it seems like,
could
you know, you
snowball.
want it,
It
right,
could
you
snowball.
want to get to it, but like you're saying, you maybe get like 2 phone calls a day and then 3 emails that need action, but nothing, maybe there's one emergency every couple of days. But
If
like
I
I got a
may,
better sense of what's
Time
happening.
of year right now, and Lonnie knows he's a builder, time of year right now is very slow.
Okay,
Give it another month and tell me the same
And
thing.
things will pick up. Yeah.
hopefully we won't have to worry about
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, no, I hope we're not.
Yeah,
sitting
no
here in a
kidding.
month, just us
Yeah.
5 again.
yeah.
Although if we have to.
it.
Yeah, so the last one I had was Mary Ann Diffin, who was from Defreet Engineering.
Yes.
The email just came in. She emailed back today. I just helped her through the process of finding the application. Oddly enough, the septic application is just weirdly worded on our website.
I
Damon
find
and
that
I-
in numerous towns that,
Damon and I are looking at it, and I'm like, Damon, where is this thing? Why isn't it on here? Finally, I texted Missy. She's like, oh, it's listed as this. And if I had just read the whole thing, I read the first word, not the rest of it. Anyway, we figured it out. She's got that, and she sent in an email today, but you guys were already listed on it, so I'm just reiterating that.
What
She
was the
looking for-
address?
It's gonna be the Cape Road address, 23 Cape, which is.
Oh, yes, is
they're
that
gonna
that
do some-
warehouse?
Yep, they're gonna do
They
some,
want to do soil testing,
yep,
okay.
on March 14th.
All right.
I just didn't know, I'm assuming you guys know what to do with it from here.
Well, I read that too, right? I didn't know.
so
we
is that
did the
gonna be
soil
sent to
testing.
Tom with soil testing? Tom won't be able to go. Lenny will. I had Lenny do an inspection this week for me.
So these are gonna be for, so this is just perk testing is all?
Yeah, but it's gonna be witnessed,
Yeah, right. Lenny's back moving around?
as long as it's easy. The one I did this week, he was able to drive right up and view the work right from his car. He
Got
did
it.
get out, but
Yeah.
he's getting around. He's getting around better.
That's
How
Well, I'm
about-
glad we talked about that because
We need him.
when I saw soil testing, I was more like 21E type stuff.
Oh, no, I
Not,
see.
not perk testing,
Yeah.
because I have that note here that came in 3-1. So I was like, geez, do we witness
That's yesterday.
21E core testing? But knowing it's a commercial site and,
Yep,
all right, so I'm glad we talked about
Yeah.
that.
How about,
That clears that up for
How
me.
about Steve Donatelli in terms of
He's
usage?
our backup, yes. If the site is too, we could delegate it to him first if you'd like. Either way.
Well, the only concern I have is, we don't know what a site looks like in
Right.
terms of whether or
Sure.
not it's gonna be
That site-
appropriate for Lenny to be able to do it.
yeah, that site's pretty flat.
Right, I'm
That's
just,
Abe Rosenfeld.
I'm just saying, so if some,
Park, right?
Yeah,
if
gas
somebody
road,
just
gas
looking
road.
at an email isn't gonna know.
Oh, no, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, so if we go to the extent of giving it to Lenny could come back and say, geez, I can't do that one. And then we go to
And then screw them
Steve,
up.
I have a
Um,
potential issue with that. I
what
hate
do
to
you-
go
what do you
back and
think about
forth, but
reaching out to Tom Ryder originally? More than likely, he's gonna say he can't get to it because his boss died and he's taking over there.
correct, right.
So he's still reviewing plans, but as far as on site, he's not able to get out here as easily as he was.
I think at this point, we just need to get it done. If these people want to, schedule a date, we just need to
Well,
schedule a
Steve
date.
might be,
the
Steve
problem I
might be a
have-
better
Yeah.
original.
Yeah, the problem I have
ask.
is if you schedule something and we schedule with
Again.
Lenny and Lenny has a problem and then everybody shows up to be there and Lenny says,
Well,
geez, I can't.
Yeah, I don't want to be
Now we're wasting
disrespectful to
everybody
Lenny,
else's
but
time.
By the
we're
same,
handicapped
by the
already.
same
We gotta
token,
get
who's
this
the
done.
engineer on that?
Um,
The Petrie?
The Petrie,
Are they local?
No.
I don't recognize the name.
me neither.
No, they're definitely not local. Let me see what I wrote down here. Yeah, I just wrote the Petrie Engineering.
What's commonly done
They're
in
from-
certain
well, they're in
situations?
Boston, Providence, and Newport.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're a reputable company.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, what's commonly done in situations like that is the soil evaluator from the engineering firm will bring his notes if the Lenny can't get to it. And obviously, it's a reputable company, so I don't think it would be a walk-away situation where there's an excavator there waiting to do the job, the engineer's doing it, and Lenny says, I can't do it. He doesn't have to physically look in the hole. So if he's standing someplace where he's safe and the guy brings his findings,
Mhm.
Lenny can copy them down, which is still acceptable. So either way, either call
Steve.
Steve or Lenny. We have an out.
Okay, I'm just
We
saying,
just have
that-
to make that decision.
right.
I don't know Steve, but so you have to
So
tell me.
I would say send anything that's looking for any society,
Soil.
people testings, percolation tests, so I would send it to these guys
Yeah.
to make the decision of where.
Any testing, I'm sending to you. With
No
the excep-
tests. I failed school.
With the exception, I mean, the health stuff I've been sending to Daniel. So
Daniel or Danielle?
Daniel, right? Isn't it a guy from the
Yeah.
grant, regional grant?
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, we have-
Danielle is the,
Two people, really. We have Danielle
Oh, well, I only
Ed-
talked to one guy.
Edmonds, then we have Daniel or Dan
Dan
Markman.
Yeah, that's who I talked to.
And they both kind of came to it. Well, Daniel came in onto us first. She actually was brought her
Danielle
on
did.
as a Danielle as a backup when we needed somebody for health agent.
Yeah.
And then
she
Dan
responded to us
came,
with the Millville Road issue.
yeah, and then Dan came to us through the grant.
Yes, I talked to him.
Yeah.
I talked to CMRPC. I got the guidelines on all of that. So we should be good. He was really helpful.
Yeah, they both have
Yeah.
similar knowledge bases, similar backgrounds. So they may be
Yeah.
interchangeable.
They're both young and very knowledgeable.
So,
Yeah, and he was really, same thing, responsive. I
Yeah.
called him right away. We had a nice conversation about everything. He gave me an overview. So told me about the grant.
All right, those are the only items I have. I do
Okay.
have to bounce to get to the next meeting. Are you guys all set with me? Needed?
Thank you for coming.
No problem, thanks.
Try not to speak badly of you when you're not here.
That's all right, you can.
It's
Don't worry.
recorded
It's
now.
recorded.
I'll tell,
Just mute it.
I'll tell you what we say tomorrow morning.
All right, yeah, yeah. I'll see you in the morning. We'll get
All
that
right.
wrapped up. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
You guys
Lonnie.
doing a full schedule?
Thank you, Lonnie.
Oh, no, jeez. So maybe 6 or 7.
Thompson,
Thompson's are there, yeah.
Yeah.
Rickman's first.
what is?
Rickman.
Really?
Yeah, we gotta go redeem ourselves.
Wow, nice.
See you guys.
Later.
All
Be
right.
safe.
All right, what do we want to do next, AJ? Only because we got a lot of work ahead of us.
What's
after
next on the
meeting's over.
agenda?
There you go.
Oh, I had it. You took it away.
I did it. So I have a
Hazardous
copy.
waste day. Let's beat that up.
Which
one?
So all we need to do really is we need to reach out to Clean Harbors again.
Yeah.
Via email, which we should find a record of Missy's old one in here,
Okay. Can one of you do that?
and we're trying to get a
Right
date.
now.
Could you?
Go right ahead.
That's wonderful.
If
Well,
you-
I'm just saying, Clean Harbors email, that sounds like this is.
Yeah,
right in my wheelhouse.
hazardous waste day, and if you can do a search, I guess.
Are you
I don't know
familiar
what-
with what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, but if you can do a search, you might be able to find her old one.
What, well, just an email?
She supposedly sent one out when I asked her to originally.
I have access to her email,
Yeah, because my hope is you can just
and it's Clean Harbors, right?
tag on
Yes.
to that and
Yep, fine.
So
What it is we have to get on their schedule when they're available, and I don't want to snooze on it because the longer we wait, other towns step up, and then we're lost for a date.
I'll do it tomorrow.
yeah, we have had the opportunity where
Thank you.
we lost it.
It's kind of fun, actually.
I do think so.
Well, I mean, it's different, you know what I mean? It's, it's different.
Annual scholarships.
Um,
Is there a form?
all I have here is we have two $500 scholarships from E.L. Harvey. We need to call the guidance or email. See, I'm the old fashioned, get ding-a-ling-a-ling. We need to email BVT and NIPMUC guidance offices.
Okay.
And let them know the annual scholarship is,
Available.
To get the
available?
money or to tell them it's available.
just tell them we're doing it again
We
this year.
used to do them too over there. We stopped. Not to them.
Question, do you have documentation that in fact is available? I know it wasn't a contract. Have we had? So
I
because
don't.
Who's your contact at E.L. Harvey?
Mike Sussman, SZSU.
Mike is cool. Mike's us.
Yeah,
Um,
the only other person we notify is we notify the town crier
Okay.
because they'll put it in. So we have to set like a deadline date.
Mhm.
And usually the deadline date we want to do sometime the first half of April.
Okay.
Because a lot of times the schools want to know who was awarded it for their awards night, which is usually like the first or second week of May.
Is it like a essay contest or something, or you just give it?
I'm trying to remember, we had a form.
Yeah, we
That they
actually
fill
have
out.
an application they fill out and has criteria on it. So things that they're supposed to do, essay is part of it.
Okay.
So there's like
We'll
two or
dig
three.
around. Let's see.
Yeah, there's got to be a
Yeah.
copy of it somewhere.
Or I
The
can
s-
get a copy of the last
Yeah,
one.
the school should actually have it, the guidance office, because it's the same every year. It doesn't change.
I'll ask Jay.
I mean, I could drum up past copies from,
That should be fine. I'm
Yeah.
gonna email them anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah, last year we were
Early
very
April
fortunate. We
or
had like
mid-April?
6 people or 8 people respond.
Actually, we're probably looking at August at this point, and that's why we don't want to miss out. One year,
Not the scholarships.
We're switching topics.
Yeah,
One
I knew that.
scholarship.
that was a test.
I got you, so
Yeah,
I got it.
I'm
April
gonna,
15th or whatever, mid-April.
well, before that,
Okay,
you know,
got it.
because we need a little bit of time to act on it at our meeting.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, the school,
They want to award them, they like in May, they have that. night.
right, yeah, it's like
Yes.
May 5th, May 6th, something like that. They like to
Okay,
publicize it a little bit at their awards night.
see what I can do.
I know for the brothers, I've got a deadline of, it has to be postmarked. I think I set it for like April 6th, that I want it postmarked, knowing that I'm gonna get it a few days later.
Maybe we can get them via email.
Did you
Yeah,
get
well,
that?
hey, I'm telling you, there's a reason I got gray hair. I'm an
Did you
old
get
dog.
that text?
Yes,
Okay.
got it.
The other part of that too with the scholarship is, the
So
schools
I
say
tell you,
the
short
kids,
attention span.
the kids use their vacation week a lot of times,
Yeah,
that
right.
to go and do the application stuff. That was one of the key criterias of the time frame.
Okay.
So
well,
prior
like I
to
said-
that school vacation week,
Yeah,
Well, I will.
so they could
email-
post it up on their
Well,
website.
prior to school vacation week here should be the week before Easter, so that's the 10th. So, okay,
But
that's gonna be fast.
Sooner is even better,
Getting
but,
it in the crier is trickier, but we'll see.
right, well, let's see,
yeah, so BVT and Nipmuc guidance offices, town crier,
Got it.
2 scholarships, $500 a pop.
Okay.
And we haven't changed the application in years.
Okay.
The reason why
Not
I ask
starting
if you've
today.
had confirmation on those.
I have not.
Right.
Because, first of all, it's best to make sure before we go advertising and then say, for some reason, we don't have it. I know that Missy used to confirm with Mike
I will. That's my
that
first.
we have them, because it's in our contract, but things change. Let's make sure, let's have it in the hand, because I'm not paying $500 for somebody to go buy books. You can do it.
Well, let me tell you, $500 doesn't go anywhere.
I know. And the other thing is, last year we gave out 3 or 4. There was more. Wasn't there, Tom?
I don't know. I'd have to look at my
I
notes.
wanna
don't
say
have those
Let me
3.
with me.
email this
3
guy,
last year.
Mike, and get some details.
we did 3.
Yeah,
But
Mike's
we
very
did it
good. He's
based
very
on-
responsive.
We did it based on $500 increments.
Missy should have Mike's email also.
Well, I have, it'll pull them up. If I
Yeah.
start typing, it'll
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
There's nothing to say, I don't think, that we have to necessarily keep it to that 500 amount,
Did
right?
we have money
gonna
left
find out
over
how much
from a
money we
year
have
that we
first.
didn't
Yeah.
have, AJ?
We got
You don't want to
2,000
go
in there,
less than
right?
that.
Well, we know at minimum, we should have 1,500.
Okay.
At minimum, that was,
Well, it
What-
always was 1,000. Last year was 15. So that's why I'm saying we need some clarity, because if it's gone back to the 1,000, then we want to stick with 2 500s. If it has in fact stayed at the 1,500, then we can offer 3.
uh,
But did we have a year that we didn't get it done
Yeah, because
and
yeah,
had money left over from a previous year?
that's exactly why.
So
That is exactly why. You're right.
you're right. It needs to be
And you're right,
confirmed.
yeah.
And you're right too,
so
that
it's
we
not,
might have given out more. I don't have
Right.
those records in my hand.
That sounds
I know
very
where they
familiar
are.
because we missed out.
I'll find
Actually,
out tomorrow.
Yeah,
Maybe I do
I
have.
believe we gave 4 because we didn't give them the year before. So that money was with you. Somehow we got it back.
I
right?
remember seeing some.
Above my pay grade.
It's all conceptual
Ah, here we
now.
go.
It's all above my pay
Yep,
grade.
we did scholarships on 6/2 of
Oh my
21
God.
at 7 PM. We had 6
I can't believe you
applicants,
find that.
but I can't tell you how many we gave out, sorry.
One of them was Missy's kid.
Yeah,
yeah,
but we had 6 applicants and we numbered them.
Look at you go.
See, there's something to be said for pen and paper.
You can be the scribe.
Yeah, huh?
I've been called worse. Okay,
All right, so we're gonna get some clarity on what we have available and reach out to get them to the schools. What has been going on your end, Kim, to get us a new,
We're ready to go.
has it been advertised?
So I had wanted to come here first. So we have a new job description, which I sent you guys. I'm gonna guess you didn't look at it today.
I just got to read it when
But
I
I
came
have
in.
the
I
old one
picked,
too.
I picked it apart and ready to ask you questions.
Okay, that's fine.
I saw it
So
this
the
afternoon.
job is based upon Missy's existing job. Nothing has changed. We're adding responsibility to it and hours to it. So that way it can bump up a step and get paid a little more and have a little bit more responsibility around here.
Before you go any further, why wasn't this available while Missy was still sitting here?
Because the position doesn't currently exist within the union as it is, and it would need to be approved all around.
But
So-
now it can be because it's vacated?
Basically. So the process typically for creating a position is this, right? Every position has to be created or recommended by the Board of Selectmen for approval, right? Those positions, if they're over 19 hours, are full-time. Every position has to be advertised for a certain amount of time. If those positions fall within a collective bargaining agreement, there are rules and stipulations around who it gets offered to and the work that gets protected within it. So I don't want to speak specifically to her case, but I certainly tried within the confines that I had to make this happen in that window of time, but wasn't given what I needed in order to do that. And so I have scaled down a little bit from where I was headed initially when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, and this is kind of a step back from where I ultimately wanted to get, but still gets me closer to the goal, which is ultimately having all the admins in this building basically service all the departments in the building, you know, a little bit of knowledge of every department. And so, but this, you'll basically have the most, you know, it's an office manager coordinator. So it's a higher level admin, but always still dedicated to health, right? They're going to do some
That
extra
was one
stuff,
question on that.
but you're keeping everything that you had before. They're just going to add a little bit more. And then my guess is in a couple of years, after we work out the nuances with the grant and all of that, in 3 years' time or so, we'll look at it again and see where we're at.
And retirement of some other,
That has nothing to do,
it doesn't, really.
it's nothing to do with my decision-making, but
No.
ultimately it would be easier to manage a staff with multiple part-time admins since we currently have a part-time planner, part-time building inspector, part-time zoning, part-time conservation agent. I would like to think maybe in the future, we're going to head towards a part-time health agent with the size of the community, and admins that are universally trained would go a lot further than specific people in a wheelhouse. But the goal would always be that somebody could basically answer your questions for everybody and then defer you to an expert that we pay to do the professionals. So
Well, let me ask a question.
Sure.
Before we go too deep. So the actual role, this inspectional services office coordinator,
yeah,
will that be a union position?
yes,
It will be union?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you say this basically mimics what Missy's role was.
has all the same responsibilities that Missy's job has.
So that's why you're able to keep it, or that's why it would have to stay a union position.
That's assuming they want to keep it in the union, yes.
Okay. I just didn't know if in creating a new position that was different in some way, if it would take it outside of the union realm and make it managerial in nature.
It only would. So we have a strange unionized situation here in which we only have one union, and it kind of has a bunch of positions in it, you know, for the town hall because of the size of the organization. In any other organization, you'll have multiple unions. You'll have a clerical union, you'll have a professional technical union, you'll have your police, your fire, your highway.
Yep.
We just happen to have all our professional technicals and our clerical in one.
Okay.
And then we have department heads, which some could fall in that professional technical, out on individual employment contracts because there's no union for them. There could be a union there at that level. We don't currently have one, unfortunately, and that's created a lot of the problems we have around compensation because we have a lot of different types of positions with different qualifications stuck in one group that's labeled clerical.
Okay.
Right? And if you think about, you know, the positions that have been in there and it's been around for 15, 20 years and the jobs have changed and they're so different in nature, right? An admin is an admin for the most part, you know, like some of these jobs are transferable, but we've got a lot of technical professional skills in there that are stuck without movement, which is how we can't get to where we need to get to position wise. So what we have I can tell you that the board has been trying for 6 years to create change over here structurally. And again 3 years ago, and we are been in discussions again now for the last year and a half, 2 years, about trying to change that structure so that we can look at compensation and organization. And we haven't gotten there.
So with regard to the title, I know you'd had it as a / health administrator.
Yep.
I just wonder, well, my first question would be, does that aspect really apply?
Well, I
For
wanted
this
to make, I
position.
didn't want to make, I wanted to make sure that health was in the title for you, so that you knew that health was still the primary focus. I
Okay.
could remove it, but I wanted it to be clear that I was looking for somebody too that has Board of Health experience. That's what, Granted, the requirements for a Board of Health admin are 2 years of, high school diploma and 2 years of experience in clerical work. So
Right.
someone's probably gonna realistically have to learn on the job.
I mean, I think of when I see health administrator, only because of relations that I've had with people in the industry and whatnot. This doesn't seem to be health administrator type. I understand there's a health aspect with the Board of Health, but given the general responsibilities of all the other things that have come into play, I just don't know personally if it would fall. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't know that the health administrator would be the appropriate term to use up there. I
Well-
mean, I get the inspectional services office coordinator part,
Well,
and in the duties and the definition, I see where you putting in there, provides direct administrative support to the health department.
right. I mean, I want to make sure that that part remains.
Right. I just don't know if putting health administrator, and again, I'll defer, but I'm just,
Well,
from my
like
own
I said,
experience, that's
I
all.
was always trying to do inspectional services coordinator.
Right.
I can't speak, I mean, I certainly thought potentially there was a candidate within this particular office that would have been good in the role.
Yeah.
And that still may be the case. But I didn't want you to think that health wasn't being prioritized. It is.
Well, I
mean,
can
it's-
see by the
just basic-
definition, you prioritized it, which from my perspective, I'm sure these guys' perspective, they love that. The only question I would raise, and I'll play devil's advocate here, is because of the other areas that this person is going to cover, the other departments,
Mhm.
does this imply some sort of prioritization to the Board of Health?
I think it does.
Okay, so
So,
just meaning that I wouldn't want to see it, I wouldn't want to
Sidestep.
see us be
Pushed
set up
aside.
well,
and
so
think we're in many more need than the other groups, like the planning, the building, and
I think you might be the last of what's over here. If we had a health agent, right, we'd be in a different situation. But right now we have a grant, which is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's for 3 years.
Yeah.
Part of the deal with that grant is that we can't replace services, right? We can only supplement services.
Right.
And so, I think there's an opportunity here to see what work belongs where, right? And we've been talking
Yeah.
about this. I want to talk a little bit about trash. I already brought that up just to see where we land,
Right.
looking at stuff and then see. But I do think there is enough dedicated work that is specific to health that someone needs to be responsible for it. And it does require a certain level of independent judgment and decision-making that's probably beyond a basic administrative position.
I will second that.
And so
Mm.
I think this will accomplish that, which is I'm giving you the top admin position dedicated.
we're getting
here,
priority,
right?
Well,
Well, there's three of us and only one of her, so.
Yeah, but she's
Well-
packing.
I can
You
tell
first.
yeah,
All
that,
all I'm
you know-
saying was within the elements, and you probably know this, within the world of the municipality and the different departments and so forth and how things work. I wouldn't want anybody from, say, planning or building, say, hey, how come POH is getting prioritized with this
I
position?
don't think that would happen at all. with
Okay,
it.
good.
Well, certainly not with the new group of part-time professionals we've brought in. I mean,
Okay.
I have to say, between Emily with conservation and Jack and planning, and I mean, we couldn't get any luckier to
Yep.
have really qualified part-time professionals working here. John Erickson is great. You know what I mean? Like this,
Yep.
we are really stocked for the part-time pieces that we want to be basically spending the town's money on, right? The professional
The
service
shared
pieces.
resources.
Right.
Because there's a good
That's
chance,
your line.
because of the load and what Alan just cheered on there, there's a good chance that a lot of the work that this person does could be BOH related.
No, I assume that it will be.
Okay.
I
A
assume
fair
that,
amount of it. I would
yeah,
imagine.
so I'm increasing the hours from 35 to 40,
Yeah.
just to create a little buffer.
Yeah.
In my mind, I actually, just like you said about times of the year being busy or slower or whatever, I imagine that coming in, it's going to be 99% health for a while until they get a handle on health. And it's going to be, that other 1% learning about how the office flows, what it looks like, sort of, that's what I imagine. And then I think over time, it'll shift a little because it'll become routine, things will be digitized, some of it, maybe, who knows, just like we put trash bills online, stuff changes. And so it frees up some space. I mean, the goal really is to, when people come to do business with the town and they come in this door, like we are on top of it, right? They don't have to go to 6 people. They don't have to tell you somebody else is going to answer your question. The goal is to have people right here that will be able to do all that for you. And having one person that starts as the sort of generalist, starts picking it up even over time, we'll see how that really goes. And I think because of the grant you have, I think we've got like I said, like a 3-year window here to really see, what makes sense. I mean, I really was interested in the idea of a health agent before I knew you had this grant. I thought, we should really, this is an opportunity. But then I thought, I got the grant. I said, well, this is another opportunity a different way, which is maybe we can start streamlining some things.
When you talk health agent, you're talking full-time, part-time?
Part-time.
Full-time health agent's $100,000 a year.
I know.
So
Yeah, but a
that's out.
part-time one is more than we have.
Right.
Yeah. And that's, if I may, just 1 second, as far as we were talking about a month from now becoming much more busier, we've also been a little bit falling behind on restaurant inspections, store inspections, smoking stings.
Right.
For a couple of reasons. We've been making progress with Danielle. Danielle and Daniel. They've been doing them and we're starting to get caught up, but we are way behind.
Okay.
Due to
Yeah,
circumstances beyond our control.
Like I said, I really think the window here is 3 years. I think we've got time to sort of, get caught up and then expand. But I don't want to miss an opportunity. I've been waiting 6 years to try to, since I moved everyone over to this building, to have an inspectional services department, basically. And the missing next piece for the technical person is the health agent. I mean, we have part-time everything else. And if we could get a good health agent, 19, 20 hours, 15 hours, like we have these other people, and Mendon is set, right? And then some really competent, super competent office manager, coordinator in here.
Have you
some
been to
part-time
other
admin.
towns that have inspectional services
Oh, yeah, but
departments?
bigger places.
Shrewsbury is squared away.
Yeah.
Bellingham is done well.
Great job.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
it's a great idea.
we have software and we have the ability to do it. I mean, I'm sure you guys get the same. We're doing that this week. I hate nothing more than hearing about people coming over here and not getting what they need coming in the door for whatever reason. I mean, that's the worst of the things. So,
Go ahead, Alan. Sorry.
yeah.
One thing that I would like to see taken consideration of, and I don't know if you've noticed in the emails, but there's a lot of networking with people in the public health industry, classes, seminars, dial-in conferences for
Stuff.
So
Training.
there's a lot of things that actually go on that aren't what you're seeing right now,
Yes.
that take up a lot of time.
Mhm.
I mean, the COVID clinic
Right.
took up tons and tons of time. I hope we don't have to do it again for another 100 years, but you have to be prepared and be part of the health organization in Massachusetts, so that when something like that happens, you're already part of the group.
Right. They have to be in the network. Yes.
If Missy hadn't been proactive in being in part, these organizations and having these relationships, the COVID clinic that we got into wouldn't have gone so smoothly or happened. Daniel and Danielle, we wouldn't be part of that Blackstone Valley collaborative.
And that's part of the reason why I think that this position, I actually, like I said, I actually was trying to make it even a little bit higher, because I do think there's a certain amount of responsibility that goes with
There's
it.
a lot of responsibility, and especially when someone brings so much to the
And
table.
when it's done right, it does have a responsibility with it. And let's just put it this way, if it evolves one more level higher, then we'll be having a different conversation about where it falls within the town. But right now, for simplicity's sake, right, it's where it is because it's more,
Well,
it'll
I mean,
happen faster if we do it this way.
You
is
talk
my
about
point.
grant money. Where did this grant money come from and when did it appear?
Which, for Jack? Or,
No, for
the
the-
Board of Health one?
The grant money you're talking about.
You guys applied for it.
Okay.
Missy did that with Northbridge.
No,
Northbridge
hey,
was the
I'm
big
sorry,
hitter.
I don't.
So it's a regional
Gene
grant.
Gennadic.
It's the same, almost the same kind of grant that I got for the planner.
Okay, so this
CMR
is something that Missy applied for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
okay.
CMRPC reached out. They had this program. I think you're in with 6 other towns.
7, there's 8 of us.
Yes, and you basically share these 2, and they provide a certain level, and it was free to you for 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that I understand, but you're talking about grant money for this new position
Which position?
and for the health inspector?
one-
Oh, no.
So,
No,
no, okay, so.
That's the way
Okay.
that's the way I understood it also from
Oh,
what you just
grant money
said.
for,
Yeah.
she was only pointing out the fact that we're in a good position now because of the grant that we applied for to
Yes.
get Dan.
right.
And
Okay.
Daniel was
I
part of
thought
that.
this
Okay,
was
It's a
a
good
totally
opportunity.
Oh,
different
sorry.
grant
Well,
that you
we
were talking
certainly,
about
so I will
that was
tell you,
gonna fund this new position.
we might be able to, I can't make any promises, but I mean, I wrote and created a program and a grant that we got to get Jack, and that now serves multiple.
Who is Jack?
He's the town planner.
Jack Hunter.
And so, yes,
Yeah.
and so we worked with CMRPC, I created that program with 2 other towns, and that's gonna last for 2 years. Like, there is money for us to do things regionally, and certainly for health agent in a couple of years when we look at it, we'll look at it again.
Well, also some of the things that Missy was involved in,
Yeah.
like
They need to be fully
Well,
trained.
there's equipment available.
Right.
Now, some of the equipment that's available, we probably don't need right now. Some towns have emergency preparedness trailers, et cetera.
Right.
But just the knowledge that this stuff exists,
Mhm.
because even if we don't have it, if we have a good relationship with a town that does have it and we need it, we have access to it.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that go on that we as board members didn't even pay attention to because she just took care of it.
The
Right.
contract with Wheeler
100%.
Grader, she was a big part of that for all towns involved.
Right.
She was right up top on
No,
that.
I totally agree with that.
Just to pause for a second, I just want to recognize, it looks like we may have a couple of folks who have called in. Just so you have joined into the Board of Health meeting that's been in session. And I would just ask at this point, for you folks who've been listening, would anyone have any questions on any of the things we've talked about so far?
Please identify.
No, okay, just wanted to give you folks an opportunity to speak if you need to. We'll continue with the conversation. We're currently talking about discussing a new position that's being worked on here at the town hall.
So typically, hiring wise, right? It's, if I get it posted early next week, which is the goal. I mean, so that I mean, in the creation of it, I worked with the Collins Center. I know you don't care, but that's who created all our job descriptions. We looked at all the qualifications within the description to see where it fit within the organization. We did all of those things. I talked to John at length about what he thought. I talked to Jack at length about, and then we talked about how do we prioritize this, and actually we're all on board about trying to make this thing work. And then I talked to Daniel about realistically, what do you look for over here? And he told me of the certain types of admins and then the decision-making things that happen within the job that need to be prioritized. So I feel good about this combo. I was, it's more hours. I have to, it's going to be between $5,000 to $11,000 more that I got to come up with right now. It's totally worth it, I think, to see this through. My board's on board, which, and so we can post as early next week.
So this will take it to a 40-hour position.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said it's a step up from
Yeah,
existing?
so before it would have been administrative assistant, which is, I think it's a 2, and this would be a 3 or 4 or something like that. And I mean, quite frankly, I still think the range is very low. It's between like 21 and 28. But I think to get what I think that I'm looking for, I actually think it's a little bit higher, but I can't currently do it within the confines that I have, which is kind of frustrating. But, a lot of this too, especially advertising post-pandemic, is about what comes through the door for applicants. And we've been really lucky and had some great applicants come through, like our new HR person, Shelley, who
Shelley.
happened to retire from Milford Hospital, and we got her part-time, those are key hires, right? We pulled Jack out of retirement, like these are those, if we can get somebody great like that, all of this can come
Was
together.
Shelley in HR at Milford Hospital?
She was, yeah.
Yes, no.
Yeah, she's
Cool.
here now.
Nice.
Downshifted.
Yeah.
And that's only a 25-hour-a-week position.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who are professionals with these skills are looking for something,
A retirement job,
Exactly.
25 hours a
And they're
week, that's
willing to
money.
bring their skill sets to us. And then the trick is being able to provide them with the administrative support they need, so they don't have to spend our time and the tax dollars doing the stuff that somebody else could be doing, right? But this one needs to be a little bit more qualified than normal. Keep going, sorry. Anybody,
Your turn.
how
Okay,
long?
let me see. Who would this person report to? That was one of my questions that I was.
So it's works daily with anybody who's over here, any of the part-times, but it's always reported to me and the chair of the Board of Health.
So nothing's changed in that
That's right.
regard.
And it won't change, probably won't change for a little while.
So-
depending on how.
Well, not to belabor conversation here, there's probably some things I would probably maybe throw out at you in an email for
Well,
some,
Now is the time, because
Suggestions?
this job goes live and I'd rather have it,
Yeah, hammer it out now.
yes.
all right,
rather than try
so,
and make changes.
so a couple of, well, on the, so the essential, so definition, I get the definition.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I don't know. You guys are,
I haven't had the opportunity to
but-
read it.
Here, I'll give it to you.
so that was a good explanation.
Waste all these trees. I have,
You should see what
I have
Prudential
the
just sent me.
previous one too, for comparison, if you'd like to see it, the most updated.
Yeah, I'll
not-
take a copy
Not
of
a
each only
previous
'cause
version,
I can't get into my iPad in here.
but a basic, you'll just see where we added to things, and then, hold on.
Yep.
Now I have to sort. One. This is the old one.
I have a copy of that.
Okay. Well,
So
now
is the
you've
one
got a
that-
no
Is
copy.
the one that came via email the
That's
newest
the
one?
old
That's the new, but this
Okay.
is the old one, so you can do a comparison if
what
you
was that one?
want. This is the old one.
Yeah.
This is the existing, shouldn't say old.
Yeah.
It's the existing. Next week when we go live, it'll be,
Where do you post?
we're gonna send it out to all Mendon email addresses, and we're gonna post in the town hall, because we're required within the union
I got the old
contract
one.
to internally post. I think it's for 14 days, it might be 10. Here's the new one. Got printed weird.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's 2 pages.
Yes.
'cause,
No,
you
that
know.
was one of my questions, so now I know the answer to
This
that
is the
question. That's
existing one?
good.
This one, that's current, that's Missy.
Yeah. I already
This
have
one's
that.
new. These are the other pages, like super long. You gotta be able to drive a car. You gotta be able to
Thank you.
answer the phone, whatever. You don't need to see all this stuff, skills and abilities, but this is the typical stuff that we have on all our job descriptions. There you go.
Thank you.
So
Okay, so some of this is boilerplate.
You got it, that one?
100% boilerplate that we have for every job that is an admin job.
Okay.
The parts that are changed, like I said, are the parts at the top. So we can go through it if you want.
So, yeah, let me run down. So
Yeah,
the
go get them,
first
Tom.
part definition, I think we resolved that. I think we're okay with that. I understand your explanation. So that's good. We don't have any, concerns there. And I appreciate the fact that, that the health department is a key focal
Priority.
aspect.
It's
So,
the priority.
yeah. Again, I just didn't want to see anything slighted from the other groups. That's all. You know what I'm saying? And I'd have
Oh,
to.
from the other departments.
Anybody get their
Yes.
nose pushed in because they think that we're getting priority. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's-
but,
that was
this-
nice.
but
this is
quite frankly, they don't have, some of these departments don't have any administrative support right now, right?
Correct.
So anything is an addition. So
Yeah.
even if they only end up getting the 5 hours, it's more than what they had before.
Okay.
right?
All
So
right.
it just now gives the ability to start doing that. right?
Okay. All right. So just kind of going into the next session, essential functions,
Yep.
the bullet items, I'm fine with the breakdown. I would just ask on bullet item number
Oh
11,
my God.
count the dots.
10, 11, yep.
So I don't know if that would be a duplicate of what was mentioned up at bullet item number 4. It says processes waste hauler
You
permits.
guys could tell me better than,
I mean, it's a permit. In that bullet item 4, you kind of say issues, permits and licenses. I don't,
Overkill is never bad
okay, all
in a
right.
job description.
And then I would probably just want to see on that bullet item 11, and where it says and coordinates, where you said recycling, I would just probably throw in trash/recycling, just to add that in there.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
And other than that, I was fine. I don't know if any of you have anything with regard to the essential function section. Other than that, it all looked fine.
Yeah, and I actually like the difference between 4 and 11 only because there is a lot of paperwork involved with printing all those things out, mailing things out. So breaking it into 2 probably spells it out clearer than
Yes.
trying to get it in 1.
Good
More
point.
is better. And
Yeah.
Redundancy is okay, but like you say, it's all good.
Okay.
Well, I mean, once that application comes in, there's a lot of work to do to actually get that permit in the hand.
Right.
Okay. So in the next section, supervision received.
Yep.
So, and I'll defer it to you. It just works daily with and gets direction. And then we mentioned the various groups.
Yep.
So my first thought was, is that saying that this person isn't quite sure who's going to tell me what to do on a,
Nope.
is it
because
too much direction coming
because-
from too many?
It's the same as that. So the general supervision is the town administrator and the chairman of the board of health.
Correct.
It's an employee or first unusual situations to supervise it for advice or instruction.
Okay.
So that means if we should always be on the same page, but let's say there's a thing and they're like, well, they really want me to do this, but I got to do that.
Mhm.
That's something that I should be setting a priority, or if there's a health situation that has to be priority, that's
Okay.
what we work out.
So these would be the 2 key things that'll kind of guide the direction part.
Right. It's like if the
Okay.
day-to-day stuff, they're managing their own, somebody's thing, hopefully they're, I'm hoping we get a really competent manager, but like if a problem comes up about a priority or something like that,
Yeah.
we defer to whose thing is an emergency, and I'm gonna assume it's not mine.
Okay.
Well, and if this
Right.
person is a manager, then they have the ability to delegate
Well, that's
something
the thing.
if they need.
They're right on the line. They're right under the line. And so
So they're a coordinator, they're
They're
not a
cool.
manager.
right.
And there can
Okay,
be,
well-
Because a manager supervises
All right.
full-time employees. And this position only supervises and coordinates part-time administrative
Okay,
employees.
well, I'm glad that you clarified that for me, because if something came in that was an emergency,
Right,
I don't want to make the assumption that that person has the ability to say, hey, listen, I
Make a
need
decision.
you to take care of this because I have to jump on this
right.
because this is on fire.
No, but they also should have the ability to be independently making decisions, like judgment calls on the day, independent decision-making.
Right,
They
I can
don't
put this
have-
away.
They don't have to defer every time about a thing to somebody. You know what I mean? Like we're looking for somebody that has that level.
Responds on their feet.
Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
okay. All right.
Now, you might run into trouble, right? Particularly about things that you guys have got to have approval on or whatever, or something like that. And you might find things that you're like, you know what, this is routine and that's fine as long as we email it. Like you'll sort that out when you have,
As time goes
Yes.
on.
Okay. Accountability.
yes,
The introduction sentence seemed kind of strange.
this is the same one that we use for everybody.
Is it?
Yes.
So, the nature of work assures that errors are not easily detected.
Yeah.
You know what the first thing came to mind? It's kind of, maybe it's just my thinking.
Oh, well, you hide. your
Yes,
mistakes.
that's the first thing that came to
Oh,
mind.
that would also help us find key employees. No, that's fine.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's, okay. That's just what came to mind. Okay.
Yeah, the
How well
only,
can you hide your screw ups?
the
That's-
change, the only change on this page is about education and experience. So as I
Okay.
mentioned before, the position previously was high school and 2 to 3 years of some.
Yep.
We've changed it from high school to plus 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
And I've added database and file organization, office management or equivalent.
Yep.
And then strong customer service skills, right? Because
That's
that's
key.
what we're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
And ability to multitask.
Now,
That's what goes out.
now under education experience, so just where it says high school education.
Yep.
I didn't know if it really should read like high school graduate or
Graduate,
high
yeah.
school diploma. So it actually confirms that the person completed high school.
I'm not
Exactly.
gonna mess with the documents that we get from the consultant that does the personnel stuff.
I
Okay.
agree with you on that one, Tom. The
Okay.
other,
Well, we paid-
back to the 3 to 5.
Yes,
If by chance time goes on and we have someone who's gung-ho and knowledgeable, a young kid, say, because I know when I first got into the trucking industry 50-something years ago, what do you have for experience? But I was very well capable of doing the job better than some that had been doing it
Yes.
for many years. But is that etched in stone? Can
Well,
we work with that if we
or any
find?
equivalent combination of education and experience. That is always your out on any job requirements. And most jobs say it. So you should tell anybody that's interested in any job, apply for it. Because if you're the right candidate and you're smart enough and got the experience and
You
you're
got the
well versed
stuff.
enough and you can talk your way through it and get it, then you can have it. I mean, unless it says master's degree required,
Yeah.
and even then,
You can work with that.
yes. I mean, my guess is, I would have liked this to have read 7 to 10 years because I really
Wow.
wanted to, I
We don't
wanted
have the money to expect that.
correct. I wanted to pull somebody from somewhere that already had some of this and
Yeah,
compensate
that would be sweet.
and lure
You
them
gotta-
in
You gotta
with
reward them
some
for it, though.
some money, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen. I don't think this.
Who's gonna make this decision?
It's made basically.
The-
Oh, who hires them?
When the applicants come in,
Oh, we're gonna do it.
as a whole,
Yeah. So
when you say we, us four, or the selectmen,
Shelley.
okay,
So the way we do hiring around here is I always put a panel together. So you don't all have to be on the panel. You can all be on the panel if you want. We have a scoring. I mean, I'm giving away.
I'm
my-
assuming that all three of us would want to be on that.
If you, yeah, of course you can be.
Yeah.
So what will happen when they come through the door initially is we'll get, let's say 80 of them for an admin. We get a lot for
Oh, my Lord.
admins. Any person, any admin that we put on Indeed, we get so many for. So then we sort it down to about 25 realistically of ones that we could look at.
Through all these qualifications, now checking them off,
Yes,
narrowing
and
it down.
basic, or, just, do they actually even mean to apply for this job sort of thing? We get a lot of people who are just spamming out resumes, right? So then
Because they're
Shelley.
collecting and they have to say that they signed up somewhere.
Maybe they got a job somewhere else. So Shelley, or HR, whoever will cut it down to a stack of them for me, basically. And so when there's one particular department head, usually what happens is the department head and I review them all. So there's 3 of you. What I'd probably want to do is narrow it down to probably about 15 and then share those with you. Because I will remind you, it's super confidential.
Mhm.
A lot of times people apply for a job who are maybe don't want to, so we have to keep it on the DL, whoever it is, no matter who it is, no matter what it is, until we're basically appointing somebody. So once we enter into that chamber, and you're
That
going to get a
level.
lot of phone calls and conversations. People are
Already
going to
do.
be asking you, right? And it's hard because you can almost see any person in a job that's open all the time. You think, yeah, they could probably do it, but you can't, right? So, and we have no problem hiring based upon actual qualification. Doesn't matter who they're related to or not around here, right? We hire a lot of people who are related to each other, but we got to keep it above board. So we'll do a panel. It'll have me, it'll have probably, might have Dave. Usually I pick another department head who has an admin, right?
Makes
We'll
sense.
do a panel. We'll have the candidates come in. Shelley will also do a pre-screen and go through, and she'll remind them, and this is where it really is a killer. She reminds them what the job is, what the hours are, and then how much it pays. And
Right.
then we lose.
Reality sets in.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you can find out who really wants the job. In pandemic time, we were doing some interviews first, like Zoom interviews. At this point, we might do that first and then bring in 5, maybe bring in 3, but it just depends on what we get.
So
Right.
you raised an interesting point when you brought up hours again.
Yeah.
Just reminded me of something. So this is a structure to be a 40-hour position, right? However, as we know, and can't speak for the other departments, you might know better. The other piece of this participation is our meetings that we have at night.
Mhm.
So would there be an expectation? I'm sure we'd have an expectation from our department to have this individual participate in our meetings. Would there be the same expectation with the other 4 departments when they do their meetings? And is that a lot of extra hours beyond the
Well,
40?
Right now,
How
planning,
do they get compensated?
planning has their own admin, and building doesn't have meetings.
Okay,
And conservation has a person who's their admin/agent working
Okay.
towards being an agent. So
so those people they have in place now function
exactly.
and they would have to conflict.
So
Right.
would we be the only ones that would expect someone?
For
to admit it?
now, though, in the future, if we ever got up and running in a design that I like, you could have somebody else taking the minutes, but having that person report as your expert for whatever,
Right.
you know, in an ideal universe.
Right.
Because then we could have basically anyone going to the meetings and
Yep.
doing the stuff,
Yeah.
but then the person can, and now we'll be hybrid forever too. So really,
Well,
where people live and all that stuff can, you know,
the key element for us has been, in addition to just the minutes being recorded, it's getting feedback from the day-to-day things that go on, you know, in the office in those 2 weeks between meetings.
And
Yeah.
most importantly, just in my opinion, is the on the feet, at the moment knowledge of a question that's asked.
and that's gonna be
She
hard.
has the answers.
Right.
That's gonna be hard.
That's gonna
Yeah.
take a while.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's even procedural thing,
Yes.
procedural thing.
Yes.
But, I mean,
By the rules and
I
regulations.
think collectively, I'm gonna say between the five of us, 'cause I'm gonna put Lonnie back in the window here. We'll figure it out. I mean, like, I'm not gonna stop doing this. This has been it's been fun.
It's been educational.
Yeah, I mean, it adds a little something different to my day. So, like I said, I'm already on the computer anyway. What's a different kind of question coming in when I'm doing whatever? So I anticipate that going forward. But I do think unless some miracle occurs, right, we're going to be training somebody into a job. That's realistic,
Right.
So we can certainly hire them based upon their level of qualification at any point in the range. We have the ability to do that. And if someone came in the door and they had all this experience and all of these things, I make that recommendation to the board, and then the board appoints the person. So, I mean, and that's typically takes about, I think I'm probably going to expedite this and only have it open probably for 2.5 weeks.
Board meaning Board of Selectmen?
Yes.
So it's select board, sorry.
Yeah. And then what happens is we're going to hurry up and
When,
do all
when you
this.
say keep what open 2.5 weeks? The application process?
The position open, yeah. So I might,
You're
let's put it this
expecting
way.
a lot. I hope we get the response you're expecting.
Oh, we get a ton. So we're gonna post like we need to internally for the town. Who
Yep.
knows? You might get an internal candidate.
Mhm.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And so I would expect we're gonna get at least 60 as a
Awesome.
minimum.
Wow.
But that doesn't mean that they're all gonna be,
Right, yeah, I get that.
or have any
I never would have
municipal.
expected that.
You know what we've been getting a lot of, and I don't want to get anybody's hope. I mean, I don't know if it's really good or bad, but we've been getting a lot of legal secretaries post-pandemic.
Mm.
And, you wouldn't traditionally think of that, but that's a person who's really used to running an office and is detail oriented.
Like a
Yeah.
paralegal type thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so like I said, a lot of times we're hiring people who've never done municipal work before. That's not ideal, but in this day and age, there just aren't that many people that do municipal work. And so you try to find the skill set, like the ability,
Sure,
and then you got it. The next part is definitely about personality,
Mhm.
100,000%. Somebody who can work in this environment and understands small town and, is cool with all of this, right?
Now, and since you mentioned the word environment, I just want to bring,
Oh, God.
I know it's not going to change. I just want to bring
Yeah.
highlight a sentence here. So under work environment, in the
Mhm.
third page, I just found the first sentence rather interesting.
Okay.
It says the work environment involves everyday discomforts typical of offices, with occasional exposure to outside elements. I just thought it was kind of interesting, the phrasing where we're highlighting the discomforts of being in an office.
Well, we like to be honest around here.
Okay,
There-
it was. I've never
Sounds like
seen
my
that before.
office.
Okay,
Outside conditions, noise.
I found it.
Well,
I found it very
we'll have
interesting.
to think about configuration too, about when they're here. I mean, I think I want to expand this setup. You guys can't continue to meet like this. This isn't.
Well, this is the first meeting we've had in a couple of years.
Well, I mean,
I forgot what
we gotta
AJ
think
looked
about-
like.
yeah, no, you didn't.
I mean, I was considering it for a brief while, moving you back next door, like on the main floor, but we have this whole building here now, so I think we're gonna try this and see.
Well, I want to say it's the understanding, but I know what had been mentioned because of the upgrades that the upper town hall has gone through technically.
Mhm.
That, and again, this is probably, don't know if it's possible because of schedule and so many groups that meet, whether or not we'd be moving
No.
to use that area.
That has stairs. This is right in the first floor. We're staying
We
here.
have an elevator. You might
That's
get
right.
stuck in it over the weekend.
No,
but
I'm good. I'm
Well-
claustrophobic.
Yes, I mean, the goal is to eventually, but if you're doing this, I mean, you're there, right? The goal is just to provide transparency in what we're doing and provide more information to the public. So if
Well,
you're having these meetings, you're already meeting the goals.
I love this is nice that we're back meeting in person finally
Yes.
for the first time in a couple of years. But I also found that I think I like the fact that people can dial in remotely and
Oh,
listen into the meetings because I think it lends to more participation.
100%.
Some people just, for whatever reasons, aren't able to physically get out to make the meeting and I think
I'm
it's
so thrilled about how quickly we transitioned in this. I mean, it was just 3 town meetings ago, we were having a conversation on the floor where people were saying that we weren't being transparent enough. And we were saying, we need a policy to make us transparent. And then it didn't pass. And then Lonnie and I went back and we're like, let's go, right? And it's been done. I mean, we got
Nice.
laptops through the pandemic for every single board. So if you don't have one dedicated for you,
we
should,
do. We
you
have
should have one.
Yep, we do.
Everybody has Microsoft 365 now. You can attend any meeting in that way. You can shut the camera off, so you don't have to be on the camera.
What are you looking at me for when
I'm
you
just
say that?
saying, if people, you don't have to.
The Stafford gentleman right here, not wanting
you
to be
can,
on camera.
exactly.
Come on.
You can do whatever you want to be
Oh,
doing,
man.
and you can participate from home. And
Yeah.
that's
Right.
there should be no stigma around that. Remote meeting, waiting anywhere, who cares? As long as you're having the meeting, what does it matter? So I'm glad about all of that.
Well, I know if I get home 5 minutes before the meeting, I'm more apt to dial in than I am
100%.
Yeah.
to come here late
Yeah.
and smelly.
Well, I'm sure they
I appreciate that.
All right. So it's definitely an advantage. I have 2 things.
Keep going.
One thing is, does Shelley check all the references?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
she's
we
the
do it.
HR person?
Shelley and the police department,
Okay,
we do a thorough background check. So typically when the board appoints a person, it's usually pending successful completion of background check.
Yeah.
So we call, let me let this message go. We call every reference, even though towns you wrote, but you didn't write as a reference. And we also, we do a thorough police.
well, I guess one of the
Check.
reasons I was
Yeah.
asking that is because high school education, where it doesn't say successful graduation, to Tom's point, yeah, I was in high school for 6 years, so I didn't
Hey,
graduate,
If
but
they're excellent at this particular job,
the second thing
who
is,
knows?
where you mentioned, when we get down to the final
Mhm.
group.
Yeah.
The 3 of us wouldn't be here if we didn't understand confidentiality.
No, I'm not worried.
No, but I'm just,
making my blanket statement, which is because you guys are in a unique position and because you're out in the community all the
It's a small
time
town.
and you're not
Yeah.
usually part of these hiring panels, I'm telling you,
Yep.
people are going to be beating your door down about it and when it gets down to, especially to the end, you can
Yeah.
tell anybody, put your application in, see if it gets through. I'm going to say, we'll make
We
sure
have to have, at least I do. Give me a blanket statement and then I'll wait. So wait a minute.
I mean, and that the other part is we will score them all thoroughly. So, I do a qualification system based on 5 points, 5 being the best, 4, depending on what I think about every single one that comes in, right? Not qualified, and then a number. And then when we do the actual hiring and the questions, we'll have a 15 or 20 point question panel that we have that we'll go around with. And each one of those is also has a number assigned to it. And then we all do the number. And then at the end, we have a conversation and agree on each score and each question. And then the averages come out at the end.
Interesting.
there's-
That's a nice.
Well,
like that.
because in a town this size, a lot of people want these jobs or they think that someone they know should have these jobs. And quite frankly, all we want is the most qualified
That's
person
right.
for the job.
Yeah.
That's right.
And sometimes that can be the 2nd or 3rd place candidate if we think that their personality or temperament is a better fit for the organization.
That's key because you're dealing with the public. So that's
correct.
huge.
And so it's not just the numbers, but whatever. It's like,
There's a lot to it.
let's just put it this way. The last 8 people we've hired with this system, I like to think are stellar. And so, I mean, basically, we've hired a lot of really good people over the last couple of years. And so it's working. And some of those have been difficult hires because they're
In the
related
event,
to other employees in the
Well,
town.
again, I have no
Yeah.
problem with a relative. Again, it's about
It's-
qualifications.
exactly,
So as
and-
long as we're looking at qualifications.
Right.
Be
And I
one
mean, it's
family of,
impossible, it's almost impossible to avoid that.
sure,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. You'll notice at the end, and it's hard because you're gonna know people who wanted it, then you couldn't give it, and then you're gonna feel even more pressure to make sure this person is super great. It's a whole,
in the event, when we do hire someone.
Yep.
Is there a testing period, if you will?
a probationary period.
Yes.
Yes.
There is.
Yeah, so
How
we
long is
do,
that?
we typically, I think their contract says, it might even say 12 months, but it's at least 6 months. And we haven't really had that issue. You'll notice right away.
Yeah, I believe it says 12 months, but maybe there's a 6-month evaluation
Yeah, so
that you have to kind of
and
make them
lately with the
aware.
hires, what we've been doing, so if there's if there's certifications that you'd like the position to get, I don't know what they would be. We can talk about that. I don't know what particular training, but so like, for instance, what we're doing with conservation, which is we have a person who has a couple of degrees in biology and they have this field experience, but they're not certified as a conservation agent. So what you do is, right, you offer them, they come in at a rate, and then when they get certified, then we
Okay,
guarantee
yeah,
we
sure,
bump them to a rate.
sure.
So I don't know, we'll see how that applies here, if they're come in the door and they say, well, this isn't enough at this rate, we can say, well, listen, this is the rate right now.
Yeah.
Successful within 6 months, we can review, we can go back to the board and
That's
ask,
common.
and we can go back, right. And so, I mean, it's a little trickier because they're in a contract that we don't necessarily have a lot of control over.
That probationary
But-
period, is that in agreement and through the union?
Yeah, it's in their
So-
contract. Well, it's the
So you won't
town's,
get any surprises if we say, you know what, you've been 6 months, you're not working out. The
well,
union can say,
they can't say anything.
okay, good.
It's, so here's the other part. The work and the position are protected by the union, but any decision about having a position, what the job does, when it works, where it works, that's the town's prerogative. Okay? Their responsibility is basically to try to protect those hours, that job, right? So in theory, with something like this, where it's more hours for a position in the group, in a promotion necessarily, there shouldn't be any problem, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But but if we find out that we still think that this job, based upon the applicants that we get in, and we don't think they have the skills that we need really to get to what we think is that technical level,
Yeah.
we might be having a different conversation in a couple of months, right? Let's hopefully not, but you know what I mean. It's you're optimistic someone comes in the door, but if we find that they're all not,
It's not working out for
yeah,
whatever
it
reason.
happens.
we
I've
can-
had, I mean, I don't want to scare you, but I've had to go out a couple times, like 2 or 3 times in a couple of positions, but not lately. So,
So it sounds like the vetting process though is pretty, it's multi-layered
Yeah.
and fairly
Thorough,
thorough
yeah.
to catch a lot of those
Yeah.
things right up front.
yeah, I mean,
But you never know, though.
it's
you don't know.
sometimes though, we'll even do a first round of applicants and we'll go back and just look just in like, if we're like, we didn't love any of those 5, but look just to be sure. But most of the time, we're usually like, let's just go back out again, right? Sometimes it is timing.
What will the hours be? Tentatively.
Sky's the limit.
Well, I'm just thinking if this person is.
It was 7:30 to, and that wasn't 40 hours, but it was 7:30
Well,
to.
in my dream, again, my dream universe, all of the hours on both buildings are uniform.
Well, yeah, if this person is going to be a
And what are they over
supervisor.
there?
Well, that's like 8:30, sometimes 7:30. That's some of the stuff I'm talking about. That's just the type of nonsense that people just don't want to deal with.
In
And
this particular position, with working with people in my industry,
earlier is better.
earlier is better.
Right. I don't think, I mean, 7 is early,
Yeah.
but
It's not impossible.
I think
7 to 3.
I'd be more apt.
Well, we got 40 hours
So-
too in 4 days.
You have a lot of time now.
Oh, that's right, 2 no Fridays.
Fridays.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got
yeah.
40 hours in 4 days. And
Well,
I
it
would
doesn't have to be 4 days.
Okay, I would assume, you mean you could go 5?
I have to bargain it, but yeah.
Okay.
So,
The
yeah,
other question would be, I'm sorry.
No, but no.
Or we
continue.
could have one late night, or they have a meeting,
Well,
or we keep
A
it
late night,
flexible.
a late night is, one night is usually
Right,
pretty
because,
good.
you know, we have some positions, I mean, I'm gonna have the conversation with the union next week about the hours, but I mean, quite frankly, I think the hours should be flexible depending on the needs, depending on the season of whatever. To your point, if we have somebody, maybe not tomorrow, but if we have somebody here that's at 7 a.m., right, and this person needs to work at 6 p.m. for a meeting or whatever, and they come in later, we want that flexibility in
Yeah.
these jobs.
well, people are looking for that.
Right.
Or
right,
someone
but
that has a certain need for
correct.
their life,
Right.
then they
They
say,
gotta-
well, Wednesday was better for me to stay late. We can adjust for
Exactly.
that.
Or, you know, I need to leave early on Thursdays because that's my day to do whatever. And is
Yeah.
that all right? I mean, as long as we are
Getting
saying
the
what the
hours in.
hours are, we have other positions in that group right now that make their own schedules at 40 hours when they work. I think that's needed over here. You know, once we have more admins, maybe part-time, then those are the ones we can stack at the times, right? This time 7 to 12 or whatever. So.
How about the element of overtime in this position?
We
Would
do
it- would it
comp
be
time
Comp
up
time.
to, well, so it's up to 40 is comp time, so they'll be at 40. So anything over would be time and a half or comp, their choice. We typically don't need it.
Right. I was just
like-
wondering if somebody, if it's a
Meeting
busy
nights.
week and somebody potentially a meeting night, right? And they end up putting in 3 or 4 extra hours, could they put in for overtime, or would it be comp? Or I didn't know if there was a,
Well, even now, I mean, think about it. It was 35 hours before, and
Correct.
Missy was getting 3 hours or 2 hours for comp time when she had the meetings. I was fine with that. Really, because I don't want anyone to stress out about the time. You should get
Yeah.
compensated for your time in some way or another. But if we end up working out a schedule where a person is here on your Wednesdays straight through,
Mhm.
and they work shorter time on Thursdays, I'm fine with it, right?
So
But the
we're
goal
okay
is
with-
40, and 40 should be more than enough.
Too much
I mean,
paperwork.
right?
that's
No,
more than any
I'm-
of these positions have, except for I think one.
Right.
So it's a shift, you know, because it's adding instead of cutting responsibility, and so
Well,
you know.
since we're talking hours and days, just a general question here with regard to the work week. Why is not Friday a work day?
I would
From a general resident's perspective?
love for Friday
All
to be a work
towns, most
day.
towns, no
Correct.
Fridays.
So in the beginning, what I was told, I mean, these contracts were in place before I came here. And so having Fridays off was a protected,
So
thing,
so
and
that
it
was a
was-
contractual thing.
yes. And it was based
Okay.
upon people not being here on Friday, like the service level being low on Friday, or at the time it might have been about fuel efficiency and buildings cooling and all of that. And that was all a big thing at a time. Remember, the utility costs were high.
coming back.
And then, yeah.
Mhm.
Realistically, can I think of a realistic reason anymore why the town would be closed on a Friday? I can't think of one.
How come highway department winter and summer they shift?
They do because of the nature of the type of work that they do.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was because that's a different union.
It is a different union. So we have only 4 now because we've regionalized. But we have highway, right? We had dispatch, we have fire, we have police, and we have the town hall union. In my opinion, I think we should have one more union too. Well, not anti-union. I encourage the highway guys to unionize for protection because they have an elected supervisor, and Alan's great, but that can create problems when you work for the town and they're elected and you want protections, all of those things.
That's changing this year.
Next year.
Okay.
So, every time we negotiate, I put Fridays on the table as a thing, and everyone just basically says, where's the need? Are you doing it? And quite frankly, we don't get that much foot traffic. I mean, eventually it's going to be less and less foot traffic.
It's
over time.
pretty much understood anyways, when anybody that has any work or business to do with town hall, Mendon and other towns, but myself, I know it,
Yeah.
from Medway, from numerous towns around, Hopedale.
But I'm not opposed to it. So if we had someone that said that they wanted to work on a Friday, I come in on Fridays sometimes. I mean, it's the time to do whatever.
Yeah, because
So-
there's nobody around.
Yeah,
No interruptions.
right. And so, yeah, we're still heating and fueling the building of this. There is no legitimate actual reason. But the fact is, truthfully, we've gone so far now, whatever, 10 years post whatever that was, to using technology, that foot traffic is low. So when we went to by appointment anyway, that was like,
No
Besi-
change.
besides over here, right? Like, because this is where we get the most, here are the clerk's office, we get and the treasurer if it's tax time, right? But like, everything else we do is basically by appointment. So, I mean, I've shifted my thinking to like, we shouldn't be paying the overhead to have a person sit in a spot just in case there's work to do, right? And so, and I'm okay with people sitting wherever they're sitting as long as they're accessible and they're getting the actual work process fast, right? Like an efficient way, and we're being helpful. So, you know, the old model of staffing town halls for 40 hours a week and, you know, everybody's office, I mean, it's just, for a town this size, it's just outdated.
Not just town
So,
halls.
Yeah.
Many other entities also.
Right. And so a lot of towns switched to like half day Fridays and late day Wednesdays. They did, you know, the last 10 years. I don't even think we have the capacity, the need, you know, I don't. I mean, I don't. And so, you know, and so as attrition occurs and people go on, we relook at every position and every office and everything we do here. And we say, is this the most efficient way that we can do this thing? And save money. And we do. And we do get a lot of flack for cutting positions in half or whatever. But the fact is, right? Taxes are, you know,
So
times are
before
tough.
we continue, I just want to reach out to the folks that might be
Okay.
listening. Does anyone out there have any desire to speak or
Thoughts or
have a
concerns?
question that they might
Like-
want to ask? Feel free to speak up or raise your hand through the Zoom call here, and we'll give you an opportunity. Okay, not seeing anything at the moment. We'll continue our discussion.
So
So-
I want to just talk about meeting dates. So it's all Wednesdays. So assuming I'm going to be around for the next couple of 2 months at least, right? So I've got budget meetings on Wednesdays at 6:00.
Okay.
So how
We're
do you,
not etched in stone, but the one thing we will be changing is, as Alan and I get busy with the weather changing, we'll be going to 7:00. But
okay.
as far as Wednesdays, I'm not stuck to Wednesdays. I don't know.
No.
about
No,
these
I'm just
guys.
saying I can meet earlier, I can meet later, I can meet basically any other day. I mean, I will try.
What day is good? Fridays.
Friday.
Friday is actually great because then I could come up to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with AJ, you know, 7:00 is gonna start in April.
Yeah.
Okay, and
So-
I'll be done with my budget stuff in the next 3 Wednesdays. So
Yeah,
then I'll
so
be
we're
free in
good.
April. Yeah, I'm just saying, great. I mean, if you have another meeting in 2 weeks,
Oh, that would be
Okay.
the ideal thing, only because there's gonna be things
Oh, no.
here
I,
that we need to address, so
What day is good? Tuesday?
Sure.
Monday?
I can,
hold on,
Look at the dates. I have, we're in March now, right? So
hold on.
yeah,
the 22nd would
so
not
we're
be
here,
possible.
okay.
That's
Well,
the-
actually, if
that's
we're
our-
here, we're working on this week right here,
Right.
Yeah.
So,
14th through the 18th.
so I've got a meeting, so no one wants to meet on the 17th. Let's just get that out of the
Why
way.
not?
Well,
I'm not
if you
Irish.
come properly equipped, why
Just
not?
because the last name says Green doesn't mean I'm Irish.
Just because my maiden name is Darrigan doesn't mean,
Maybe we should meet on the 17th. That's what I'm thinking.
What about Tommy here? Okay,
I'm-
so,
So
I'm
I'm
half
meeting
Irish,
on the
I'll have you know.
16th.
Yeah.
I mean, I can meet on the 16th if it's like 8:00, but I mean, I
No,
can duck out of my.
no.
do we want to do the 15th?
That works for me.
Tuesday the 15th?
Okay. And my other question really is, do you care if I'm here in person or if I'm remote? Because, all right, I mean, if so,
Remote is fine.
okay, I just,
Right?
you know,
Yeah,
I know it's
no
easier to
problem.
communicate in person,
Yeah.
but like, you know, I got kids and dogs, so they might be in tow sometimes.
A
Bring
big
'em in.
reason for us to
Giant
be
dog.
here personally.
Yeah.
In person today
I know, is all this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know where the card stock is, but I need Tom to put it through the printer.
More than likely, unless we have something like we're trying to do this evening, we can possibly be virtual ourselves next week, next meeting.
Yeah, we could be.
I don't want to assume it because we're more than likely going to be here.
And so, and then the other part is between Lonnie and myself, and I also asked Jody, so Tracy is also available to help since she's doing the billing stuff anyway for trash. So if we have to run over during the day and someone has to look for something or find something,
Mhm.
don't feel like you have to come out of your day to find the thing. Like, let's coordinate that and see if we've
Okay,
got somebody
that's
that
a
can,
big help.
I mean, because Laura's here too, and I'm sure my assistant would, you know, like it's just a matter of figuring out
Where
where the heck
everything
these
is.
answers are,
Mhm.
right? So,
Well, it's not always a bad thing for us, only because it's probably gonna take more than one person to train the new person.
oh yeah, no, they're gonna be like, whoa.
I mean, it's gonna be bits and pieces. I mean, Tom and I were very fortunate that we met with Missy before she left,
Mhm.
and we found out pretty much where some things were. Because again, the card stock to print up these permits, if you don't know where the card stock is,
Right.
forget it.
Every little step is
you
like
know,
another thing that just gets
You know, how to run the scanner, you know, so we showed how to run the scanner, how to get a plan through it so
Right.
that we could get it over to Tom Ryder and not stop the process.
right, exactly.
So, you know, these may be little things that have nuances from somebody who used a different kind of scanner.
Yeah.
That someone like Tom or I who have used it could run in and say, oh yeah, let me give you a 5 minute.
Right.
And then they're done. They'll never have
Yeah,
to
no.
see us again because they'll get it.
Yeah, I'm optimistic we're gonna get somebody good that we can train, but the goal is to get it up, right, and put it out there next week. And so
Are you good with the job description? With all
Yes.
your notes and everything?
Yep.
Okay, we can
Yep.
put that one to
Just
rest.
keep in mind, you know, this is a try. When we come back and we reevaluate and then we say, no, maybe, no, we try something else. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
that's just how it goes,
Yeah.
right? So,
The one thing I want to mention about meeting remotely, I believe, is the time frame coming up where the allowance for remote is coming to an end from a state perspective.
yeah, but I thought there was an extension.
I thought it was just until April.
I thought we had I actually thought
Do
we
we
had
have
till
longer?
2023.
Oh, into next year.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
thought. But we
Okay.
can continue to meet hybrid. The only trick with hybrid, or was in the past, I assume they're gonna adopt it for forever if it's not.
Yep.
But you had to have a quorum present, which is kind of a hassle now, but present might actually just mean online, right?
Sure.
So we might be good to go, right?
Well, I know, I've been to meetings over here where there hasn't been a quorum, but somebody called in and was on speaker and that made the quorum.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You guys can you could all be home right now on here and your meeting is happening. And you don't have to physically meet. You just have to be accessible to the public.
Yeah.
And so virtually is
Sure.
Sure.
accessible.
And in a
Yeah.
lot of people's minds, myself included, it's better. See you guys later. Click.
Happy to
Okay,
hear it.
done.
Yeah, well, I'm getting there.
The only other thing
Yeah.
I'll say on this topic is I'm disappointed that it took so long.
Yeah.
And that I didn't learn until this afternoon that this new position was even on the table.
Oh, sorry.
Well, you know, I was going through and I'm like, oh, something from Kim about a new position. So those are my disappointments and hopefully we'll improve upon that. Some of it is me. I'm not the best emailer. That's why I said you text me.
Well, I have to say, you know, I actually wasn't sure if it was actually going to come together because I was getting so much kind of sideways chatter about it. And then deciding, you know, every time everything is a battle that doesn't need to be a battle. And is it worth it or not to go through it? And, you know, at the end of the day, my decision was after trying to battle to do it a couple of weeks ago where it might have changed our outcome right here. And
Yeah.
that didn't work. And then, you know, picking this up and trying to figure out where I wanted to go with it. And then I finally just came back to, I've been trying to at least try this for a couple of years now. Let's at least try it. And I mean, and quite frankly, I want this position. This position should be the most qualified of the positions in here anyway. And so it just fit together. So I'm optimistic, you know, but
You said, I think, I apologize. I don't remember what you said when Tom asked, or Alan said, where will this be advertised to start
oh,
with?
so what happens is we're going to post it internally, right? because it's a union position that they.
When you
to
say
apply for.
internally in the town government,
Uh-huh.
okay,
And then we all also sent it out to every Mendon email address, so that means everybody will know. And then we post it on Indeed.
how do you find the email addresses in Mendon?
We just have them in the system, like everybody that's got a Mendon Gov comes up, and then it goes to everybody. And then
Oh,
we
it has
also,
to be the
yes.
gov, the
and then
gov
we
on it?
also post them right on the website, usually right on the homepage. So you can't miss it, really.
Is there a period of time that the allowance has to be put to that group first?
Yeah,
before?
I don't know what it is. Like I said, I think it's 10 or 14 days. So
Okay.
that's also what will delay the process a bit.
Yeah.
But what I will tell you is when we do the closing date of the applications, usually we can put in first review is like the 20th, right? Closing date is the 31st. So basically, we're going to start reviewing them as soon as the window opens. And then if anybody's serious about it, right, they apply and they get in that window. And then, but that also means maybe if somebody didn't notice and then they stumbled across it, they still get in the door.
So from there, at that point, does it go to media? The Town Crier, the Milford Daily News,
Well,
Middlesex?
we have stopped advertising locally in the paper. We put it on Indeed, which I don't know, people, and we don't really put it in a local paper anymore.
Okay,
Because what happens is then people come to the town hall looking for the application, and then we send them, it's online. I mean, we
so
basically,
you want to be the electronic age,
it's,
pretty much.
it becomes a little too close for comfort. I mean, it's like, it's not like going down to the highway, right, and filling out an application. We're going to ask them to send in a resume, a cover letter,
Yeah.
right? Application stuff is way secondary, right? So, and that's a little, a little bit different than walking in the door. They could give it to them, but, All right, are you done with me? Anything else?
Thank you
That's
very
enough,
much for your
right?
time.
No, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
You lost your whole night.
we're progressing.
Just text me. You all have my cell phone number.
I don't, but I'll get it from you.
Okay. Whatever. If there's a situation, you just tell me, I'll do it. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. Or
Well,
what
and
hour
like
of
I
the
said,
day. I'm always.
Don't be afraid in the next couple of weeks to text me.
No, I will. Like,
Because I'm around. Because once April hits, then I'm not.
no,
So
that's,
anything that I can do to contribute now will make me feel better in April when I can't respond.
yeah, I'll be out for a week in April too. But I just had to tell myself, even like last week's school vacation week, sometimes this office was closed, right, for a week at a time or something, and they managed. But because I didn't know what your expectation was on turnaround time, I was like, I'm gonna be every single person before. They probably could have waited, but I just.
Well, you kind of feel bad starting something off with, well, we're a little handicapped.
Yeah.
No, people don't want to hear that.
No, they don't.
They want a response. So, as fast as we can
You
go,
have
even
Kim's-
if it's not
you
the
have
answer.
Kim's
No, I thought it was
It's
really
good.
good. You
You
guys
have
were
Kim's number?
I
responding.
don't think so.
Just do that.
Well, I have to say the last week and a half, I've spent a lot of time in town hall talking to a lot of members and putting faces and names together to people that I didn't know previously.
Yep.
So that has been a plus.
Yeah, right.
Hearing a lot of things, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
That's
But I'm glad that the wheels on this are finally turning. I did feel very anxious this last month.
really.
Well, we depend upon the person that sits here.
I know. I just okay. It's fine. I'm sorry. I just
No,
thought
it-
because when Lonnie and I basically just went and did it, I think, and then you guys get added a little after. I think, right? That's why I sent you that email before I went on vacation. Like, hey guys, I'm gonna be whatever. And then I thought they probably don't even know really that I've been doing this.
Well, no, because I met Lonnie in the post office
Yeah.
and I asked him how the search was going, and he said, "Well, we're not going to get someone tomorrow."
But yet
He didn't say-
he told me in conversation that
Yeah.
we'll fill this very fast. He said, we'll
Yeah,
have
but-
You
somebody.
will. I
He
mean,
We'll have
didn't
somebody in a
tell me
week or
we
two.
were working on a new
That's what he
position.
said after,
Yes.
when she leaves.
Now, granted, we were in the post office.
Yeah.
There's maybe a reason he didn't say all the details that went along with it. But, today at 1:03 was when I really got concrete evidence that things were changing.
oh yeah. It's good.
So I
Laura-
appreciate
Yeah.
the notice, even though it
No,
wasn't
well,
as
listen,
soon as I would have liked.
I did well. maybe because I did talk to Andy and then I also had talked to Missy and I was basically talking myself through it for 3 days, basically trying to put it all together and like when she was here or not. And it was so much, it was overwhelming. And then when I actually started going through the 5 different versions of what I was wanted over here, like I have to tell you, a couple of days ago, I was like, this is not worth it. But because it's just so much, like but you know, and I was still, I want to kind of say, I don't want to say grieving. That's not the right word. Still feeling disappointed
Sad,
that
disappointed.
we couldn't make it come
Absolutely.
together in
think
the
we all
way that I would have really, like, felt like my hands were tied, and that was the worst feeling in the world. And I still feel that way, so I'm frustrated. But
I think you probably already know this. Each one of us brings a different aspect to the Board of Health, and I do believe that we have a very good working board. We all have our own niche and things that we do, and we make a good group. And the missing part is whether it's Missy or somebody else, we do need someone
of course,
here, and you know that as well as anybody.
yeah, no, I mean, I think of them much like I think of my own job. I got 3 guys I got to manage, and I do all sorts of weird stuff all day long, right? That has to get done constantly, and it doesn't matter when it is; it's all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, I get it. You need a key person that is confident that you can rely
Someone
on.
that has the answers that we can go to
Right.
in our own board.
But that might have to be you guys for a little bit, but.
People ask us, I don't know.
We'll get there
I
together.
used to ask
I
Missy.
mean, we'll get there.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably necessary, right? This is why when you
Growth.
have someone leave, we have plenty of jobs that have been here for 20 plus years. That when they leave, there's institutional knowledge that goes that
Yeah.
we're going to have to make up somehow. So
Well, like anything else, I mean, the Board of Health isn't just trash.
Right.
That's what people think about. I remember Alan, the last time he had an opponent, he said, it's not just snow plowing. Because when people think of highway, they think of snow plowing and potholes.
Yeah.
They don't think of all the other things that go along with that job until they're involved in it.
Right.
And we've all learned a lot from Missy because she had been here so
Right.
long. And again, a lot. Do we need to vote on that? Do we need to have a town meeting and get that approved? And right away, yep, this is what you need to do. So it's going to take a while, but I'm glad the process is officially finally starting.
well, let's hope in concept the way we've laid it out is exactly the way that it goes. Right. That's the best that we can hope for. Right.
Let me ask, have the other departments been informed of this plan?
Which departments?
Well, the ones that'll be involved in
Planning,
inspection, so
conservation.
planning,
Yeah,
conservation.
I've spoken to both Jack and John extensively about
Okay.
the needs of what it should look like in the future over here.
Yeah.
Not even specific to this, just as before this even happened, like what should we be doing over here to make this place run? You know, like.
Yeah.
And so.
So they all know what's coming.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they actually have both already seen this job description and vetted it. Town council has already vetted it.
Okay.
The board has it.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
They're the last ones.
You're the last, well, because,
All right, let's move on.
Thank you. Yep.
anything else?
Thank you,
good?
Kim.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you,
drive
Kim.
home.
Appreciate it.
Good
You know
night.
how to
Thank
find
you.
me.
Yep,
Safe
safe,
night.
safe travels. How long does it
So
take you to get home from here?
You got the agenda. What's
55
next?
minutes.
Oh, okay.
Are you Thompson?
I'm in Killingley, actually.
Oh, wow,
I'm in
okay.
Dayville,
Wow.
so it's a real
Yeah,
joy. But I'm
yeah.
actually looking up here. So,
Yeah.
maybe next year, this time,
Yeah.
I'll be complaining about my trash bill.
All right.
We'll complain about the service though.
No, definitely not.
All right. So what's next on the agenda?
Old business.
Old business. Do we have any particular old business?
Nothing that I can think of. I mean, most of the stuff is new stuff that's come in over the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks that we need to
Septic
kinda,
installer permits. Are there any printed up? Are there any applicants that are,
we do have applicants that I know of. I know we had some missing information that was submitted by a few people. So I don't
have they
know.
been notified? Do you think? That they're missing information?
No, they were notified and they sent us the missing
Oh,
information.
okay.
You know, like a
So do
copy
they
of it.
have their,
I don't believe they have their, we can check.
show me where, I don't know where anything is. You guys spend more
Those
time.
binders are
missing
very
with it.
valuable. But like I said, so, that's part of the clerical stuff that we need to work on.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we could really adjourn. we've set our next meeting,
Yep, that'll be
right? The
the
15th at 6.
15th of March at 6 p.m.
So I think we can really adjourn and dig into the
Okay.
clerical stuff. I don't think I'm.
Okay, I'll throw it out to those who may be listening remotely. The board is run through its agenda. And we're at the point where we're looking to adjourn, but I'll reach out and ask anyone who's out there, if anyone would like to, has a question or would like to speak on a particular topic. Feel free. We'll pause.
Kim, just to make sure, the 15th at 6, Tuesday.
Fine.
Okay, just want to let you know, because we threw a bunch of dates out. Wanted to make sure it was finalized.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, I'll put the agenda together and I'll get it to Ellen.
Any response from anybody there?
No, I'm not hearing any responses from our listeners, so I
Could I
think
have
at
a
this
motion?
point, the motion,
Second,
I'll make the motion to adjourn for this evening. Alan Greenberg is seconding the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for listening in.
And so, I mean,
Good night, all.
you can basically do it any way you want, but they're supposed to give their name and address if they talk. And you basically can just ask them after, like, just look if anyone has their hand raised after each item.